Ball first and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Seahawks. Sean goes right, has a cutback lane, and he does. He's across the 20, the 25, 30, 35, 40. Here he goes. Are they going to catch him? 40, 35, 30. Touchdown, Seahawks! 12, they're bringing the trophy home. Your Seahawks, Super Bowl 48 champions. Holy catfish! Baldwin's going to throw back to Russell. He's got it! Touchdown! Seahawks! Are you kidding me?
Let's hawk it out with your hosts Kevin Porter and Rich Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final episode of the season. We're here, the finale's here. Let's hawk it out. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Porter, joined as always by Rich Harris. What's up, buddy? How you doing on this Sunday evening?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a weekend full of football. Whether our team happened to lose or not, I've been watching football all weekend, so it's been a great weekend for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same here, dude. I mean, obviously we kicked off yesterday, wild card weekend. Our Seattle Seahawks going on the road, becoming road warriors for the time being, taking on the San Francisco 49ers. I know the hopes weren't very high in terms of this game. I think everybody in the country thought we were going to lose. Unfortunately, we did lose 41-23, but man, we competed for 3 straight quarters, Rich Harris. It wasn't all bad news yesterday.
No. In fact, we showed up. And remember what we talked about is this. I said, if we show up and fire on all cylinders, meaning defense, offense, and special teams, we have a good chance. I think we always have a good chance against the 49ers, especially for some reason lately in their facility. I looked it up over the weekend. I was at a local brewery here and looked up the fact that in the last 9 matchups since 2014 in Santa Clara or in San Francisco, we won 7 out of 9. So I was pretty pumped about the fact. There was another guy in the bar there that was asking me how I felt about Seattle's chances. Anyway, yeah, we had a good chance. We were definitely the underdogs, but you know what? At the end of the day, we showed up. We started putting up points. We answered to them. Gino was on point. It was that Seahawks that got us all of those wins in that win streak. It was that Seahawks team. Went into the half 17-16. I was like, wait a second. That's when you texted me, it's a game. I was like, it sure is, sir. It sure is.
Well, it's like we started the game off. I mean, we had the two straight, the 2 3-and-outs, and then obviously San Francisco goes up 10-0. It was kind of like what we've seen earlier in the season. I mean, we got blown out in week 2 against the San Francisco 49ers, and then when we played at home against them on that Thursday night, again, we went down. We went down pretty quick in terms of the score. I mean, it was definitely a deficit that we had to dig ourselves out of. But yeah, man, I mean, so those first 2 drives, I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe, hopefully this is going to turn around, which it did, fortunately. I mean, we put together like several drives where, yeah, man, we went up that first quarter, we didn't score anything, but the second quarter, man, we went up 17, man, and our defense stepped it up. We held the 49ers to only 6 points that second quarter, man. And yeah, like off that illegal hit to Gino there right before the half, dude. I mean, we were able to take the lead with that field goal and bringing the score to 17-16. So yeah, going into the halftime, dude, I was very optimistic. That's for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of things like that in particular that you're talking about that were going our way. It's just if there was things that were lining up, like if the stars were lining up to go our way to pull off an upset, it was happening. Like you said, with that little late hit, we had only a few seconds left in that the second quarter before going into halftime. Yeah. And I was like, well, let's see what we could do with it. And they tried a little onside kick for whatever reason, which was stupid. So we had good field position. And then, yeah, that late hit on Gino. And then we get those unexpected 3 points and unexpectedly to be ahead at halftime. And that's what I was texting you about, I think, or we said something about was, I was very confident going into that. Not that we were going to necessarily have sealed the deal on the win, but that we were competing and that we were going to make this a ball game. I kept saying we have to keep it close. We can't let them get at least 2 scores ahead. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And so we were staying right there. In fact, we were a notch above them at halftime. I'm like, we're a second half team. We're known to be a second half team. I know we're going to go in there and talk about what's going right and how we're going to keep doing right. And what happened? I don't know how to explain it, Kevin. I think we took a fucking nosedive.
That fumble in the fourth quarter, dude. I mean that led to us, dude, we only scored 6 points in the fourth quarter to San Francisco's 18. I mean, it got ugly real quick.
I mean, even earlier than that, we didn't in the first half. We had 0 penalties. We had 0 penalties and something else that wasn't that, just. I don't know. I can't remember the other one that was really good. We were going into.
We were playing a solid game, Rich. We were playing a solid game.
Yeah, we were being very just precise in what we were doing. And again, I was going, this is the team that we need to show up. The second half, we started getting penalties. We had men down the field way too many times. These offensive linemen are heading down the field.
Yeah, what was up with those calls, dude? It was
Gabe
like
Jackson, I think, all times. It was 68. I think that's Gabe Jackson, and he was down the field too early. So if it's not a running play, they have to sit tight. If right? They can't head downfield and start taking out guys unless it's the rest of the team and the guys, So it's a illegal man downfield or something like that, and it happened time after time after time again. I think
ineligible receiver is what it is.
Something like that, and it was ridiculous that we made mental errors like that, and then we just started again. I always talk about shooting ourselves in the foot. We shot ourselves in the foot a lot in that second half, and we were a totally different ball team than we were in the first half.
Yeah, dude. Like within the third quarter, the score wasn't like. I think that's when San Francisco went up 24. It was still 24-17 at that point, or whatnot, 23-17 or something. And again, you're just holding your breath. You're like, okay, like we're still competing. We're still in this game. We're moving forward. And that fumble by Geno, dude, I feel like that was just like on that third down, dude. It was like we were within the red zone. We were right there, dude. Like if we weren't going to get the touchdown, we were going to get the field goal. And again, we were going to, like you said, keep the distance close. Don't let them go too far up on us, because again, we just need that chance. We just needed that chance. And then again, like you said, dude, that's, once the fumble happened, that's when all the penalties started kicking in, dude. Like, I'm pretty sure Geno threw a couple interceptions in there, dude. Like, I'll be honest, that fourth quarter was a little hazy because I was like, all right, time to do some dishes. So, had to get my mind off that. Yeah, I had to do some dishes and just kind of like, I had the TV in the kitchen there. So I was like casually going back and forth. But, yeah, man, I mean, we had Geno threw that one interception, which, his counterpart Brock Purdy, dude. I mean, like, what's up with that guy coming in, Mr. Irrelevant, dude? Playing so good, dude. That dude went 18 for 30, had a QB rating of 89.4, which fucking Geno. I mean, he had a 65.7 by the end of the game there. And I don't know, man. It was somewhat disappointing to see us fall apart like that at the end of the game. I mean, definitely disappointing, but not the end of the world, fortunately, because as we knew going into this game, it was going to definitely be kind of a Hail Mary in a sense if we were going to be able to win this game. Which again, for 3 quarters, man, we showed that we showed up to play for the title, man. We were there, dude, but it just was not our Saturday.
Yeah, we just took those chances that we had, and getting them back, getting them on their. What do you recall it? Where they're back on their feet,
on their tippy toes. Yeah, make them push them back on their heels.
Yeah, they're on their heels. That's what I was trying to say. They're on their heels. It's an unexpected thing. They're going into a half a little bit behind, so I think we had their attention. We just didn't keep it. And actually, we pissed them off. And I think when, I forget who did it, I think it was one of the defensive linemen took their offensive guy, maybe Samuel or one of them that had a ankle injury or something. So when he got up from the play, he grabbed his ankle or something and twisted his leg a little bit more than he should have, and they didn't call it as a penalty. But I guess I was reading a story today that really that's what rattled the Niners and stirred up the hornet's nest, and they got pissed off because they thought we were being dirty to their guy,
right? And
then the refs didn't call it, so they were like, "Well, we're going to take this into our own hands, then, and we're just going to fucking kick your guys' ass, like no matter what."
Unfortunately, they did.
And then we were on our heels.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah, it does suck because again, it's wild card weekend. Anytime you're playing in the playoffs, definitely, you're just holding your breath the whole entire game. It's like 4 hours of sitting there, just like white knuckling it, dude. You're just like,
yeah.
Can we do this? Can we do this? And like, thankfully, I mean, like, the blowout didn't happen within the first quarter. I mean, at least we weren't sitting there for the whole entire time, just like, oh, this is over. You know, we're not going to win, but at least we competed for as long as we did. And on to bigger and better things next year, man. I mean, obviously we still got the playoffs here to watch. Obviously, you know, again, you know, you saw all the rest of the games that have been going on this weekend. But you know, for us here on Let's Hawk It Out, I mean, this is the end of the road, unfortunately, until next season. So we definitely have. I like to think that like we have. This is just the start. You know, we've been saying it all season. This is just the start. I can't wait for September. Dude. I can't wait to see season. You know, game 1 of next season. You know, it's a lot. I don't know. I don't want to have my hopes up too high or anything, but at the same time, I have like my hopes are high. You know, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. And we'll be able to watch a lot of it develop, and we'll have a little bit more basis or reason to keep those hopes high and actually, you know, make more sense out of them, and not just have them be hopes, but have more confidence in our team. With the offseason, with the draft, we're going to see a lot go on. Right. With that said, I mean, we're definitely going to just keep moving up, getting better. I don't see any reason why we're going to digress at all. We're on the ascension of everything right now at this point. So that's exciting in itself. The team is young. Again, the feeling is kind of like the 2010 to 2012 era when we had a lot of young guys come in. We keep talking about that. I don't want to repeat that too much, but that's just where we're at. So it's going to be a neat off season to pay attention to. It's going to be neat to see if we decide to keep Gino. I'm in favor of keeping Gino for a few more years, you know, lock him in for maybe a 1 to 2 year or something. I think this year was a prove it year, I think, for him. With a lot of incentives,
right,
and he pulled off a lot of those incentives. I heard it was 3.5 million altogether extra, but I only knew of 2, which I believe when he started all the games and played all the games and every snap, I think that was $1 million there. I think he got $1 million for Pro Bowl, and I think he got $1 million $1 million for playoffs. I don't know about the Pro Bowl for sure, but either way, Gino was quoted as saying he did want to stay and retire in Seattle. Coach was quoted in a press conference as saying, you know, if he wanted Gino back, or, you know, if he thought he'd be back, he said, I hope so. And Gino said, you know, he wanted to, Seattle took a chance on him. Seattle gave him this opportunity to show what he's made of. So he wanted to stay with Seattle and then play maybe a few more years and retire with Seattle. And he said, I'd like to, quote, repay them for giving me this opportunity. So I don't know if that's a hometown discount or if that's just going to be, he's going to be reasonable about it. And, you know, they'll be reasonable about it because he didn't have the 100% top notch year. He had some ups and downs, but I mean, look at all those records he set and everything else. I mean, why wouldn't we want to have him back? So I've thought about that a lot. That's what I was thinking about after the win. What's next after the loss, what's next with Gino?
I think that's like probably the smart route to take. You know, definitely don't you know, invest everything into him. Obviously, you know, don't pull a Russell Wilson. I mean, he definitely. I mean, if we would have like again gone like 13-4 or something like that, you know, actually had an amazing season where we were actually competing for like home field advantage or whatnot. You know, yeah, maybe he would have made the case there for getting that $30 million like a year contract or whatever. But yeah, man, I think, you know, you definitely, if they can come together, mutually make it happen. I feel like he's earned his spot on the team, you know, whether or not we bring a rookie in next year to compete, you know, like, cause you know, that's what Pete and John always, you know, they're all about, dude. They're all about competing. So like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a starting quarterback, you know, week 1 next year. But at the same time, if something happens in the offseason and Gino does go to a different team, I wouldn't be surprised as well, dude. Like I could see him kind of going either way, depending on where everybody stands, you know, in the offseason. Yeah.
And if for some reason we get one of those upper 2 quarterbacks that's in most of our opinions worth actually taking, you know, that doesn't mean the guy's going to start
exactly. You definitely have to have that proven veteran for sure.
You have a veteran and a willing veteran too. You know, somebody like Gino's very he's composed. Again, I use the word composure for Gino all year long. And he's very composed and driven, and he doesn't get hard on himself when he screws up, throws an interception or something. He kind of does get hard on himself, but in the right way. He's determined to make it into a positive and not pout about it and then turn it into just a shitty game because he threw a fit. he doesn't let it get into his head the wrong way. He lets it get into his head as, okay, and it's just time to improve, right? So he'd be a great leader. He's already a great leader.
Yeah.
So we 1 to 2 years or whatever. And with what you said about, if he did go 13 or 4 or something, I think we'd have more competition to keep him if that was the case, and he'd be worth more. So maybe, just naturally, maybe it'll work out just the way things happened,
Right.
with it being a balanced year and a little bit of above average from what the expectations were. That they will want to just ride this into next year, and he can't really demand too much, and I don't know if he can demand too much from other teams, because that's always going to set the bar for what we're willing to pay him. They're going to tell him, go ahead and go out and get your offers, but please report back to us and let us know what the offer is, so that we have an opportunity to match it. That's usually how it is when they're going to say, go out there and test it out, but we'll just let us know what you're looking at, because that way we'd have an opportunity to counter. And it's my observation, or it's my understanding, and I've heard a lot of them, it does happen that way when it's a respectful relationship, right? So that he can go out there. If somebody's going to say, we're going to drop you this much money, the coach and then John Schneider say, well, we can't afford that. So good for you.
Yeah, good for you, buddy. Go get that money. Go get
it. Go take it, and good for you. And it's been a great relationship. So, this is going to be an interesting thing in the offseason, first and foremost, and then the draft. The Geno thing should develop before the draft. We should know more about Geno definitely before the draft. But again, I'm not an expert. I'm learning a lot. This podcast is helping you and I get more fluent and more deep into the game. So maybe if we continue this for years down the road, maybe I'll be more confident about saying there's all these deadlines and stuff that they have, and if they have any. But I just think there's no deadlines. I think he was on a 1-year deal, so I think they're going to have to lock him up as soon as they can if that's what they want to do. I think I'm pretty correct there. If it was something where he was already in a deal or something, then they'd have to kind of figure things out before they owed him money. But I don't think that's the case on this one. It's more about just getting him back in the driver's seat again and getting him locked in.
Yeah, I think so too, dude. I think that's perfectly well put, for sure. Real quick, before we get out of here, I did want to mention DK Metcalf had a monster day yesterday, dude. 136 yards, averaging 13.6, on every attempt. 2 touchdowns, 50. He got a 50 yard was his longest pass completion. Yeah, man. I mean, I totally, dude. He showed up to play in the playoffs there. So that's again, I feel like he really came out to try to prove, hey, man, you guys didn't waste your time by, paying me the big bucks here. So, because again, I was kind of getting frustrated with DK there towards the end of the season, dude. With a lot of those penalties he was costing us, I was like, I want to see this guy succeed here in Seattle, but man, he's really got to clean his shit up. And yesterday, he played a really solid game.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, and we've been spending a lot of time talking about it, and we've been both saying, hopefully he cleaned everything up and actually just let his actions speak louder than these mannerisms and animation against the other guys. So, definitely well more focused. And I'll go ahead and use the same word I use for Geno as well, as composed. DK was all of that. DK was, like you said, he just showed up. He limited distractions. When he interacted with the refs, I saw it was respectable for the most part.
Me too. I saw that.
And you and I we're watching him, because we're rooting for him. We love him.
Yeah.
We want him to be the DK that we know he can be. We want him to optimize the DK that he can be, and we know that that's in there and it's going to come out. But we can't, these distractions, they can't happen. You got to minimize them, and the passion will bring out unexpected experiences, right? Sometimes, but if you can go into it understanding that you just need to focus and all of that, just he was much better. And look at the game he had. So Geno spread the ball around early too. He had the ball spread around for the most part to Colby Parkinson. He got Noah Fant. Lockett was involved a lot. DK was involved, and of course we had Dallas. I like it when Dallas takes those direct snaps.
Me too.
That game was starting to look really good. I was like, we had a couple of little trick plays in there. And Shane Waldron, some of his stuff that he's been hiding from us came out.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, and then I don't know. I kind of just remember remembered it as the whole second half that was just shit. But you said you went to do the dishes. I thought you were going to say you went and took a couple of more shots and just tied it on, because I was like, oh shit, I'm going to just start popping beers.
Yeah. No, nothing like that.
I don't need to stay focused on this game anymore. They started getting 2 touchdowns ahead and then 3 touchdowns ahead. I'm like, oh, come on, man, this is ugly. Come on. But, again, my expectations weren't necessarily to win. It would have been nice if we could have just kept that possibility alive that we had, because we were proving that it was very possible, because we were right there with them. But we just tanked.
I was already imagining next week, because if we would have won, we would have been going to Philly, since they were the number 1 seed and we had like the lowest seed. And I was like, we always play really well in Philly. I was always like, we always go on the road and play really well in Philly. So I was starting to get a little confident. I was like, Gino, man, he's going to go back out to the Northeast, man. He's going to lay it down in the divisional round. But unfortunately, that just is not the case. And yeah, the Seattle Seahawks have been officially eliminated from the playoffs this year. Once again, maybe it just shows on how competitive the NFL really is when it comes to these teams, because it's pretty unfortunate, man. The last playoff appearance that we had was a couple years ago during the COVID years, and we had that wild card. We won the division that year, and we lost the very first game against the Los Angeles Rams. So 2 back-to-back wild card losses for Pete Carroll's last 2 playoff appearances, and that sucks.
Yep.
Usually we're pretty good about getting into the divisional round, but and hopefully that's, again, seasons to come, we will have more of a chance to compete every single week. And again, a lot of those one score games, dude, we'll turn it around, dude, and we'll go that 13-4. We'll get back up to having a really sweet record and being able to compete for home field advantage within the playoffs. And bigger and brighter things is what I'm looking towards when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks the next several seasons.
Yeah, and you gotta. I think you have to. I've said it before. Is not that I wasn't too proud or too hesitant on my team to go into the playoffs, but I want to be that team that has that 13-4 or something-ish type record, because that just is going to be a direct reflection of how well we did and how strong we were in the season throughout. When we squeak into the playoffs with a 7-9 record, I think we did the one year that you might have been talking about. I think it was an under 500 record. I don't know if it's the same year, but when we
that was the year that we played the Saints. We played that Saints. That was that Marshawn Lynch quake.
Oh, okay. So I'm a little bit behind on that one. So you said we won the division, but I don't remember.
We won. It was the year when we had no fans in the stadium.
Okay, and we won the NFC West that year.
Yeah, not last season, but the season before.
Okay, so 2020.
Yeah,
something like that. Okay,
2020, 2021. Yeah.
But either way, this year at least, when you squeak in, and of course we were the 7th seed, when you're on the edge of the playoffs, then obviously that's why the odds are against you, because the expectations, you just barely squeaked in. You barely got in on the fringe of things. So that's not really your best momentum or your best chances or your odds. And those odds are proven by data and everything else. We all know that, right? We're loyal fans, but we're also going to be realistic about shit. We're going to be like, well, we're in the playoffs. All right, let's go. But we're not going to be sitting there going, like when we lost, I wasn't going, oh shit, this is bullshit. I was just
the whole season. We won the whole. It's like if you're a Vikings fan right now, if you're a fucking Vikings fan, you broke your TV today, right?
Exactly.
The Giants came into your house and beat you, dude.
Exactly. So I was just like, it was neat. We got up there. It was neat. Oh, we started to give them a chance, give them a battle at first. We had a chance. We fucked up. All right. Let's start looking forward to next year. It wasn't a big disappointment. It was more or less a pleasant surprise to get there. So, it is what it is. And here we are.
It is, man. Yep. I mean, dude, again, a month ago, I wasn't expecting us really to make the playoffs, dude. When it comes down to everything, it's like that losing streak we went on, dude. It just when our season just kind of started to tank, it was just like, fuck, okay, it is what it is. This is kind of what we expected. We're able to string along, some really good, football play there for a handful of weeks too. Because again, the beginning of the season, dude, the one game I'm reflecting on is that Atlanta Falcons game, earlier week 2 or 3 or whatever it was, and dude, we were that close to winning, but dude, it just seemed again, we came so close in a lot of those games. That Saints game for example. We were so close to winning again. If we would have just won a couple more games, man, we would have been in way better standing. And again, I think moving forward, that's definitely something that, hopefully, again, we can come out hot next season, dude, and just really, really bring it to it, dude. Because I think San Francisco is going to be a good team for a little while. And I think we really need to step it up to be able to compete for the division every year against them.
We just have a few positions that we need to fill with some more young guys to grow with the rest of the team. That defensive line, we need some edge rushers, maybe a couple of more. We need maybe some guards and a center or something. That Austin Blythe that we got, I think he came from the Rams. He's been really solid as a center, but I think we're going to need some help at guards. The tackles, the rookie tackles proved that, they set records as well for 2 rookie bookend tackles that held down the fort all year long, so it's exciting. We just have some areas that we have to, I'm not going to say holes. It's just not holes. Yeah, we just need to get some superstars at other positions, because that secondary is looking great. Dude, and we got some capital here. Let's see what happens, and we're going to keep going up. And I think we can make a prediction. What do you want to make a prediction closer to the beginning of the year?
Probably
on what our record.
Once we get through the draft,
we know the draft and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, man, I can tell you, I know I'm going to predict that it's going to be more than what we predicted last year. Or more than
we're going to go,
Yeah, but I won't tell you by how much quite yet. Yeah,
okay.
I won't tell you how much quite
for
yet.
Sure,
but
for sure.
I think we're definitely just going to do. We'll have a better record, is what I'm saying, next year. So. But we'll put a number on it closer, or I'll put my number and you can put your number, and we'll see when we're closer to the spring. Maybe we'll have an off-season kind of podcast here or there. We'll just.
I was thinking probably the draft. Maybe that's the next time. Maybe we'll get together on for a podcast. Is probably around draft time. So you talk about the draft, and at that point, then we can also talk about like what's gone down during the off season, who we picked up, who we lost. It should be a good time. So
maybe pre-draft and post-draft or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably get together before the draft, and then an episode right after, and then we'll wait till like July or whatever when the spring or summer camp opens up.
Yeah, like you said, that way we could look at any acquisitions, all of that, anybody we kept, and kind of summarize the team as where we're sitting, state of the union, so to speak. And then once the draft comes into play, then we could revisit that and then see where we go, and we can maybe discuss what our record predictions are at that time or something. Right on.
Hell yeah, good. Dude. All right, Rich. Well, it's been an amazing season, season number 1 in the record books, man. I was, dude, wish we could have gone all the way to the Super Bowl this year, but unfortunately it just wasn't our year. And with that being said, looking forward to next year. And any final thoughts before we get out of here, Rich?
No, I'm just right there with you, man. I'm looking forward to this adventure that we've done, and I think we've both gotten pretty comfortable with it. So let's hawk it out next year.
Hell yeah, let's.
For season 2.
Hawk it out. That's right.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next season. Peace.
We'll see you.
Can you win a game in the first quarter? No! Can you win a game in the second quarter? No!